A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway is a powerful tale of love and loss set against the stark backdrop of World War I. Through the experiences of Frederick Henry, an American ambulance driver for the Italian Army, Hemingway explores themes of honor, courage, the brutality of war, and the fleeting nature of happiness. First published in 1929, this semi-autobiographical novel combines the stoicism of Hemingway's narrative style with the harrowing realities of combat and the tenderness of a love that offers a fleeting escape from chaos. The novel opens in a quiet, rural Italian village near the front line. Frederick Henry, known simply as Tenente, Lieutenant, narrates his story with detached clarity. He is an American expatriate who is enlisted in the Italian Army and serves as an ambulance driver. Like many of Hemingway's protagonists, Frederick is a man without illusions. He drinks heavily, maintains a generally apathetic view of the war, and is a dedicated yet detached participant in the events around him. During an evening with Rinaldi, his outgoing and charming roommate, Frederick meets Catherine Barclay, a British nurse who works at the nearby hospital. Catherine has recently lost her fiancé in battle, and her grief leaves her questioning the nature of love and life. Although Frederick initially sees Catherine as a casual diversion, he finds himself drawn to her vulnerability and beauty. Their relationship begins as a game, with Frederick feigning romantic interest and Catherine knowingly playing along. However, beneath the flirtation, both are deeply lonely and seeking something real to hold on to in the chaos. As their relationship develops, Frederick is called back to the front. He and his fellow soldiers endure brutal conditions: mud, cold, and near constant shelling from Austrian artillery. The realism of the battlefield scenes is unflinching, and Hemingway vividly portrays the disillusionment that pervades among soldiers who see no end to the horror. During one particularly fierce attack, Frederick is wounded in the leg by a mortar shell. He is sent to a hospital in Milan to recover, where by chance Catherine has also been assigned. In Milan, away from the war and the constraints of their official duties, Frederick and Catherine's romance blossoms. Their relationship takes on an intensity that neither had expected. Frederick, who had once regarded love as a game, finds himself genuinely in love with Catherine. Their love becomes a refuge, a private world of comfort and solace. Despite the constraints of wartime, they live almost as a married couple, spending each night together in Frederick's hospital room and exploring the city by day. This idyllic interlude, however, cannot last forever. As summer fades, Frederick's leg heals, and he is ordered to return to the front. Catherine reveals that she is pregnant, and while Frederick is initially shocked, he is also thrilled. They make plans for their future, imagining a peaceful life away from the war where they can raise their child. However, these dreams are increasingly overshadowed by the grim reality of Frederick's impending return to the front line. Just as he is about to depart, Frederick is struck down by jaundice, an illness that delays his departure, but soon leads to him being suspected of self-inflicted illness to avoid duty. Disgusted and weary, he eventually rejoins the army. Upon returning to the front, Frederick witnesses a stark shift in the war. The Italian army is in disarray, and morale has hit a new low. During the chaotic Italian retreat from Caporetto, Frederick sees the horrors of war escalate to new levels. Soldiers are executed on sight for desertion, and the roads are clogged with terrified civilians and retreating soldiers. Frederick's ambulance is overrun with injured soldiers, and he becomes more and more aware of the futility of the conflict. In a desperate attempt to survive the retreat and avoid execution by the Italian military police, who were killing officers suspected of cowardice or treason, Frederick dives into a river to escape. This moment represents a turning point in his life. As he emerges from the water, he decides he will desert the army. He is finished with the war. Frederick reunites with Catherine, and together they flee to neutral Switzerland. Their journey across the Italian border is a tense and dramatic one. They row across Lake Maggiore in the dead of night, evading the coast guards, all while battling exhaustion and harsh weather. When they finally arrive in Switzerland, it feels like a victory, a hard-earned escape from the horrors of war. Frederick and Catherine settle in a remote Swiss village and live a peaceful, isolated life while waiting for the birth of their child. For a brief time, they experience true happiness, cocooned from the rest of the world in a life that feels almost like a dream. Frederick spends his days writing, and Catherine prepares for motherhood. The two grow closer than ever, bound by love and the shared trauma of their experiences. However, Hemingway's world does not permit simple happy endings, and the dreamlike quality of their life together is shattered when Catherine goes into labor. The labor is difficult, long, and fraught with complications. Frederick, helpless and anxious, waits outside the delivery room, hoping for the best. Tragically, their child is stillborn. The emotional weight of the loss is palpable as Frederick, who had come to rely on the hope of family life, finds himself facing an unbearable silence. Catherine's condition deteriorates rapidly after the delivery. She suffers a fatal hemorrhage, leaving Frederick utterly alone. He sits by her bedside, numb with grief, as the woman he loves slips away. Catherine's death is written with Hemingway's characteristic restraint. There is no melodrama, only the stark reality of loss. Frederick's world, once filled with a light of love and possibility, is plunged into darkness. He is left to walk back alone in the rain, bearing the weight of his sorrow and the realization that the happiness he had found was as fragile as life itself. Hemingway's depiction of World War I is unflinchingly honest, showing not only the physical horrors of battle, but also the psychological toll on those who experience it. Frederick's initial detachment from the war shifts as he endures firsthand the suffering and chaos of the front. The novel does not idealize war. Instead, it shows how conflict destroys lives, desensitizes individuals, and leaves them scarred in ways that extend beyond physical wounds. Hemingway's portrayal of the Italian army's disillusionment, desertions, and the ruthless crackdown by military police illustrates the disintegration of order and the breakdown of honor in the face of overwhelming suffering. Frederick and Catherine's love is the heart of the novel, providing a fleeting sanctuary from the violence and despair of the world around them. In Milan, they create a private universe where war and death cannot intrude. And it is here that Frederick discovers a sense of purpose and vulnerability that he has never felt before. Catherine's love allows Frederick to glimpse a life beyond cynicism and disillusionment, and he becomes devoted to the hope of a future together. However, Hemingway's narrative warns that such happiness is always temporary, vulnerable to forces beyond human control. The novel constantly juxtaposes images of light and darkness, life and death, as Frederick and Catherine's romance unfolds against the backdrop of war. The idyllic interlude in Milan and their peaceful life in Switzerland are moments of light and life, set against the dark brutality of the front and the shadow of inevitable loss. Frederick's love for Catherine becomes his reason for living, yet it is also fragile, susceptible to the randomness of fate. The ending, with Frederick walking away alone into the rain, is a poignant reminder of life's impermanence. Hemingway's characters often embody stoicism, facing hardship and loss with quiet endurance. Frederick does not indulge in despair after Catherine's death. Instead, he accepts it with the same resignation that he approached the war. This stoic attitude is central to Hemingway's philosophy of life. suggesting that while the world is indifferent and often cruel, individuals can find dignity and strength in their response to suffering. Frederick's journey is one of disillusionment and existential questioning. At the beginning of the novel, he views life with a sense of detachment, drinking heavily and treating love as a game. However, as he experiences the horrors of war and the depth of his love for Catherine, he begins to search for a sense of meaning. By the end, Frederick has come to understand that life offers no easy answers or guarantees. His love for Catherine, though profound, could not shield him from suffering, and the war, fought for vague ideals, brought only destruction. A Farewell to Arms is both a love story and a meditation on the human condition, capturing the beauty and fragility of love amidst the horrors of war. Hemingway's sparse, powerful prose strips away sentimentality, presenting a world where happiness is temporary and life is defined by both its lightness and its weight. Through Frederick and Catherine's story, Hemingway explores whether life can hold meaning in a world where love, freedom, and existence itself are subject to fate's cruelty. The novel's title is a metaphorical farewell, not only to weapons, but to illusions, to the idea that love or ideals can shield us from life's harsh realities. Frederick's journey, from cynical detachment to profound love and, ultimately, devastating loss, mirrors the disillusionment of an entire generation scarred by war. Hemingway's masterful exploration of love, loss, and resilience offers readers a glimpse into the depths of human strength and vulnerability, creating an unforgettable portrait of what it means to live, to love, and to lose in a world torn apart by conflict.